Hi everybody, it's Artie at the Fab Cave. As you can see, I'm holding a Beatle bass, Hofner. That's the brand, made in Germany to this day. And it's made famous by Paul McCartney, of course, and the Beatles. And the model number on this is actually, it's called a 500/1. And it's a pretty authentic reissue to what Paul had. As far as I know, I've never played Paul's or held Paul's, but I've got quite a few of them, as you can see. I have a little Hofner wall here. And anyway, I got a special little video from a good friend of ours all the way over from Hofner, actually, at the Hofner factory. My good friend Nick was. I'm going to be calling him Mr. Hofner here at the Fab Cave. And he's going to give us a little insight on the very first violin bass. This is pre-Beatle bass. That's when they were just called the violin basses. So take it away, Nick. Let's go to Bavaria and check it out.
Hi, I'm Nick Wass from Hofner, and we're here today in the Hofner factory down in Bavaria in Germany. I'm helping Artie a little bit with his new YouTube channel. Now I know Artie's going to be talking about playing the bass left-handed, getting the Paul McCartney sound, all those kind of things, which is going to be really helpful to you, I hope. But what I thought I'd do today is talk a little bit about the very first violin bass and where that came from. You'll all be familiar with the one Paul McCartney plays, you'll have seen it a million times. But let's have a look at the very first bass, which was made in 1956. So I'm going to get this one down and talk to you a little bit about that and the guy who designed it. So, the first violin bass was designed in 1955 by a guy called Walter Hofner. He was the son of the guy who started the whole business, Carl Hofner. And it's said that he had a dream one night, his daughter tells me, she's still alive, about making a bass guitar. The company had never made a bass guitar before, and he came up with the famous 501 violin bass. This is one here. It's an original from 1956, when they were first introduced to the public. You can see it's not like Paul McCartney's at all. The headstock's completely different. The body's a rather different colour. The control panel on it's, well, not the same. The pickups are not the same as Paul McCartney's. And this logo on it here, that's not original. Somebody painted that on it years and years ago. The pickguard's also missing. I found this baby, some while ago. I'd been looking for years for an original 56 bass from the first production run. But they're very hard to get because we think only about 25 were ever made. And this is one of them. This one's not all quite original. The control panel there, the tailpiece, and even the bridge were replaced at some time. But the pickups are original. And perhaps you can see they're actually, the cases of the pickups are actually made of rosewood. There's the back of it. As you can see, it's quite damaged, it's quite scratched. These early ones, unlike Paul's, have got flat backs. They've got really quite chunky necks, a three-piece neck, really quite chunky because these basses don't have truss rods in them. So they made a much thicker neck to keep it straight and stable. And this old lady, despite being, over 60 years old, still works and plays fine. And I would have liked a better example, but I think, actually, this one's quite sweet. It shows all its scratches and dings and battles it's had over the years. And that's where the whole thing started back all those years ago. We've got a few old or interesting basses here at Hofner. And if you're interested in me talking about any of them sometime, well, leave a comment on Artie's video and I'll see if I get round to it. Bye from Bavaria.
How cool was that, everybody? Thanks so much, Nick. That was very cool to see one of really a handful, 25 or so made ever from 1956, which also happened to be the birth of rock and roll in a big way with Elvis and everything that happened here in the States. And we went from that particular bass, violin bass, to what this becomes, which is called the Cavern bass. And it's called that because it was played so much at the Cavern Club in Liverpool, England, by Paul and the Beatles before they hit it big. And apparently he got this bass around, not this one, he got this bass around 1961 or so, and played it for a couple of years on the very first album for sure, Please Please Me. Other promotional shows around England and around Europe, and then he had it refinished later on in 1964. And then later on, unfortunately, his bass got stolen, actually at a session in London, apparently, in a closet with a bunch of other Beatle guitars. Not just his guitars, George guitars got stolen apparently too. But that's kind of a bummer, and that's a whole nother story. Hopefully one of these days, after 60 some years, somebody out there has Paul's original Hofner Beatle bass, his Cavern bass. Somebody has that still somewhere, and it'd be nice to get that to him eventually. But that's another episode, another channel, another story. But anyway, I think next time what we'll do, we'll get back here on the Fab Cave, and I'll plug this in, and I'll plug the Paul bass, the one he got later on after this one, and we'll see some differences in the sound because the pickups here, as you can tell, are a lot closer together than that particular one. So it's further away from the bridge, which you would think would be less trebly, and yeah, it's definitely got a little bit more thump than that one. And like the bass that Nick just showed us, the Cavern bass has a flat back. All the other reissues after that have a little bit of a rounded back to them. So anyway, that's it from the Fab Cave. See everybody real soon at the next Fab Cave show. Bye.